Hey there, everyone. Donna Smith with Your Tech and More. I'm the president and founder of YourTechAndMore.com. And today we are going to be shooting episode number 20 of the podcast series, The Path Forged with Tech. And I'm glad that all of you are here to get enlightened about different ways that I regularly bring to my audience, ways of leveraging in unique ways of leveraging techniques and technology tools to make running their businesses fun, more productive, and ultimately save money. Now, that last point, as far as saving money, is really part of the context of this entire episode today. Today's title is Create Stunning Great Graphics Without Canva. Free tools that you are going to love. That's what I'm going to educate on today. And let's go into a little bit about why I'm not against Canva, but we'll get into why I have chosen personally for my business not to use Canva or to utilize it in a very, very small subset of use cases or circumstances. And let's give a little bit of backbone first. Let's rewind this a little bit and let's talk about specifics about Canva. Is that I'm going to be talking about the replacing of the image generation and editing features that are within Canva, and nothing at all related to creating presentations or using slideshow type content live whenever you are hosting or presenting something online for an event, or other features that Canva may offer, either within their free plan or one of their paid plans. Again, we're going to be talking about image generation and editing features that Canva provides, and my go-to set of free tools that you can use instead. And also, to add a little context before we get started, here are some of the tools and procedures I'm going to be talking about today are specific to Windows PCs, Windows operating systems, and not Macintosh computers. So all of you Macintosh users out there, you will need to look up corresponding functions on your particular machine, because I am not a Macintosh user myself. So let's get to the content. Let's get to the meat of the matter. So why not Canva? After all, Canva seems to be the preeminent tool for creating graphics, either using their templates, their image sets, and graphics that come readily available within their environment. And Canva is used for marketing and creating any type of social media banners or content that goes with your online posts, let alone what we say as business owners create on our landing pages and website pages, all the images and graphics that can go there. So why not? Why am I advocating against Canva? Well, some specific reasons. I figure as a business owner, and what I recommend and work with my clients to minimize is we all need to, whether we are using Canva for personal use or for business, is ultimately we need to be conscious of reducing our outgoing expenses. And I know that having business or personal related expenses, subscriptions, etc., or even just single one-time purchases are vital to our survival in this world and allowing our creativity to shine. But I also figure, related to Canva, why spend, say, $10 a month for their lowest level, for their lowest tier paid plan, getting the subscription at that level, when instead quality and very flexible and easy to use free tools exist that can replace it. That's the main reason why I went in different directions from Canva. And besides that, Canva, in my view, has grown in the number of functions and individual separate tools that you need to navigate and find. And frankly, it can be hard to find what you're looking for and what you need on the fly when you need it. And it's hard sometimes to navigate their multiple wizards to say that you do find the particular tool. It can be hard also to navigate some of their wizards and the choices that you're forced into making before you can really even start your project. To me, that's a downside. And plus, since it is a web browser-based internet access tool, it can be very, very resource intensive. It's a very resource intensive platform. And depending on the age of your device that you are accessing the tools from, it can really slow you down. So that's something else that I personally, as a business owner, watch out for in consulting my clients and helping them set up systems and tools for everything that they're doing in their business. Those are the main reasons why I advocate against Canva. Again, I know that that's the prevalent tool out there, and I respect that. I know that they've got huge market share in the space of image generation and editing and everything else that it provides. But as I say, to me, it's smart to minimize expenses, and if you can find a set of tools, develop a set of processes that provide you with completely free tools that are much, much easier to use, cleaner and quicker to use, and have your documented process that you're following, why not do that? And that is the whole premise of this episode today, is to educate on the set of tools that I personally use for my business and also for personal use on a regular basis. And I'm going to share with you that full set of tools and also some tips and tricks about the process to follow in creating your own graphics, creating and editing your own graphics. Again, everything I'm going to show you are completely free tools or free plans that I have created that go with specific tools. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about are, by the way, I'm going to be talking today about a whole bunch of various tools. Either tools that you can access directly in your favorite web browser, or specific tools that you need to install, again, on your Windows PC. And so I'm going to be putting all that kind of information into the show notes. So for now, just go ahead and grab the information mentally, and then after you watch the episode, then you can go in and you can review all the notes for the URLs and be able to go in and replicate the system for yourself. That's what I recommend. So the first thing we're going to talk about are where to get your images. So you've got an idea for a marketing campaign, or you're creating a new product and you need to have a professional style image or banner created that represents that well. So what do you do? Say that you don't have something already created that you can start from, or you just want to have some fresh ideas. What do you do about getting images? Well, I'm sure all of you know that there are a ton of free access sites that provide what's called royalty-free use. You can download and use to your heart's content, even for marketing and business purposes, types of sites. And that's what it is that we're going to focus on today for getting access to free image resources like that. The first one I want to talk about is a site called freepix.com. And what's so great about them is that they not only allow for free access to photos, but also icons, vector images or vectors, and also three-dimensional assets. And they, like so many of these similar types of tools, many of them not only allow you to access and download those particular assets, but some of them, like this one, also have editor suite kind of packages integrated right in. And I usually don't use those, but I do readily download the media. So as far as freepix.com, I wanted to point out that off of the stock menu is where you can go in and you can access the vectors, the photos, icons, 3D content, all that kind of stuff is the way that I routinely access FreePix materials. So that's the way that I recommend that you start with that. So that's one good site, freepix.com. Another one is as far as I know, it's a relatively new tool called Burst. And it's off of Shopify.com. That's another great one. There's also Pexels.com. That's Pexels. That's a great free resource. And then I also readily use ChatGPT.com. And I have a free account. And what's so great with using that particular AI tool for image generation is that you can, with your written or verbal prompt that you give it, is that you can specify multiple types of image attributes, plus your overall size that you need, and even the image format. In other words, if it's .png, if it's .jpeg, or something like that, you can specify all that out and then ask the AI to generate something for you. That's a great way, too, to come up with brand new ideas and then edit from there. And that's part of what it is I'm going to show you with the art of all this, as far as how to take something that you find free online, modify it to your own needs, add your own branding, your image, of your own photo image, as well as your own logo, and do all that completely for free. Now, I know that there are lots and lots of AI tools that can generate images for you, but as I say, I like using ChatGPT. You can also start, which is something that I routinely do, directly from a Google search. Enter in your request for free images, and then this particular topic that you want to find images for. So that's a great way also, rather than just going to these various sites. That will help narrow down some options as far as where that topic area is going to be at for free images. So just some ideas there. Another great tool that I use all the time, and I'll explain the specifics as we go through, as far as the way that I use these tools in the overall process. But another great tool is called Snappa.com. I use that almost every day for my editing and ultimate downloads of material. So that's a good one. Another one that I want to show right now in the web browser for information is called InPaint. Now InPaint will allow you to, as the graphic here at the top, it allows you to remove images from, or excuse me, remove objects from content like photos that you actually upload into the application and then go to edit that stuff out. It's a seemingly magical tool that way, and it produces extremely good quality results when you use its functions correctly, which is part of what I'm going to show you today during the live demonstration. Now, within Paint, you can either use it within a browser account after you register and then log in. But I prefer to actually download it and install it, in my case, on a Windows PC, but it's also installable on a Macintosh computer. So if you click on this green download button, you can go that way. And the reason why, as the statement says here, you get more advanced functions and better image quality ultimately whenever you work with the installed application. So that's something important to know about in Paint. Okay. Another great tool that I use all the time is Microsoft Paint. Now, this is a tool over time with all the various Windows operating systems versions that have come out, including with Windows 11, that Paint has evolved in functionality, in Microsoft's terms of improving functionality, over time. And so now the current version that ships with Windows 10 and I believe with Windows 11 is called Paint 3D. Now, the specific functions that we're going to be using and talking about today for editing of content that we're working with is not available in these latest versions of Paint. All right, and people have gotten very, very frustrated with Microsoft for what it is that they've done over time with Paint, because a lot of people are like me and they like using these fancy editing functions that have been involved in the program for years. But the good news is, and I've got the specific link for the zip file that you can download and then install on your system, is that we can still get a hold of what's called the legacy version of, or the original version of Paint. And it's called Paint Classic. And so I recommend that you download that, actually install it on your machine, and then use that version of Paint and not the one by default that comes with Windows. As you can see down here in my taskbar, this here is the one that actually comes with Windows. Okay, this is actually, well, this isn't Paint 3D, but it's the current version that ships with Windows of Paint, and it does not have the functions that we need. Whereas Paint Classic up here does have the functions that we need. So that's a general FYI. And what's great is that you can have both versions of Paint coexist. You can't use them at the same time, but you can have both versions coexist on your PC without any conflicts, any problems whatsoever. And so that's something to be aware of in going ahead and downloading that zip file and then installing it. So that's great news, okay? But it's hard to find that classic version. Therefore, I'm including it in the show notes, okay? The last main tool that I want to mention today on this topic is a button that's available on your keyboard of your Windows PCs. And it's called the print screen button, or generally it is noted as PRT space SC. That's the shortcut for print screen, okay? And whenever you go and you click on that button, you can, in fact, I'll go ahead and do that right now. I'm just clicking right now on the print screen button. And then what you can do is you can do full screen mode. And then what that does is it saves to the Windows clipboard in this case, the totality of what it is we're looking at right now on my Windows desktop machine. And then we can go ahead and we can paste it someplace. For instance, we can paste it into the classic version of Paint, and we can go over here and we can do paste. And then we can save it as a PNG or a JPEG file, and then we can modify it, we can add to it, and we can ultimately use it as an asset in our marketing or in our web page designs. So that's the great thing about the print screen button. That's something that most PC or users and most online business owners know nothing about how great that print screen button is. So that's something that I wanted to get out there. Okay, so let's talk a little bit now about specifics about the process that I follow in doing downloads, edits, and then ultimate use of my final assets. Okay, and so in general, you need to mix. So first of all, let's review what we've talked about so far for this collection of tools. All right. We talked about specific sites that house free images or free assets, whether they're icons or vectors or 3D assets. We talked about various websites that are available or AI tools that you can use to find those. Those are great starter materials for you. So that's point number one. Point number two is a tool called Snappa. Point number three is a program called InPaint. Now, this InPaint is an actual application that you install onto your PC versus something that you access via a web browser. Okay, that's tool set number three. Tool set number four is Microsoft Paint, Paint Classic. Again, this is something that you actually install onto your PC. And lastly, point number five is that magical print screen button. Okay, so those are the tools that we are talking about. And in general, what I do is you need to mix and match, depending on what it is that you're doing, the creativity work that you're doing for that day. You need to mix and match the use of these tools depending on what it is that you're editing or what it is that you are creating to let your creativity shine and to ultimately get your image the way that you want it. And sometimes using the same tool more than once during your editing or modification process. Now, one thing that I didn't mention about Canva, and one of the things that I know that people love about Canva, is that you can create, and I agree, you can, is that using their tools, their images and assets that are provided in their platform, is that you can create really, really spectacular professional level graphics with it. And I agree, you can. And it can be harder going my route to create content or assets like that. But believe me, it's still possible. If you have, if you find your assets out there that you really like, you can kind of build your repertoire of starter templates and whatnot, and utilize the process and tools still that I'm providing to you and giving you access to informing you about ways of using those tools completely for free, that you can still create stunning assets using these free content. So that's something to think about too in utilizing or not Canva. Okay? So here is a summary of the specifics for the tool groups that we've already talked about. Number one, pick your particular picked that you want from image sites. Okay. When you want fresh inspiration, can start here for your design of choice for that day. Number 2 is Snappa. That's an easy way to create fresh designs within its editor or import from other things that you have saved, or you can also import into the Snappa editor and do modifications there. Also with Snappa it's a great way of resizing your ultimate image and not lose quality or not make the image be pixelated. And we'll look a little bit about that also specifically within the demo. Okay. You can, now one thing to know about the free Snappa plan is that you can save your projects, but you can't, there are definite limits about how many downloads that you can do within the free account. But I will show you the great workaround for that. Okay, another tool is InPaint. That's an easy way to wipe out unwanted sections of an imported image. And you can't, one thing to note about InPaint is that I think that you can probably save the content that you have edited in it, but you can't download with the free account. Again, you can use my workaround to get around this. Okay, and then also the original version or classic version of Paint. That's a great way to what's called crop your imported image and resave it as a PNG or a JPEG, etc. And the idea about saving directly to a .png file, that's a typical image file format that's accepted by most of the tools that you're going to want to have as your destination location for what you're importing for this new image. For instance, the Microsoft Tool Suite, that is the default file type. Website Builder, Page Builders, is readily accepts that. YouTube image, like for the thumbnail, etc. Or also for other social media accounts. That is the default or universally accepted file type is .png. So that's something important to know whenever you're going in and you're saving across any of these tools. That should be your file format that you're saving to. Okay? And then lastly, that print screen button on your keyboard. That is the way to do a screen, Windows screen copy. Okay, and then you can go over, so that copy is saved into what's called the Windows clipboard, and then you can paste it wherever it is that you are going to continue using what you just copied. And so then you go over to your tool of choice and you click on paste. Okay, and then you can go ahead and do your edits or your direct saves. Okay, so let's go ahead now and do a couple of demos. And the first thing that I want to show is to do with InPaint. And I want to show a specific example recently of my use of InPaint. Okay, so I had ChatGPT for one of my recent products that I was launching for a free webinar event, as you see here on the screen. This was the image that I had asked ChatGPT to generate for me. It did generate it. I loved the start content of this. I liked the background. I liked the various images, the set of 3 images that were, or icon type images that were added. And I also liked everything about it except the inclusion of the gal's image. After all, that doesn't look like me, does it? So I wanted to keep this image and yet edit it. So what is it? What is it that you do? How do you handle this? Okay. Other than to try and use Canva, which more than likely to do the edits that we're going to be doing, you have to have the paid account of Canva to do it. So let's talk about ways that I do this, okay, and the ways to get around it. So I'm going to do a live demo here. So I'm going to hit the print screen button. I'm going to save the entire screen. We're going to minimize this. We're going to go over to Classic Paint, and we're going to paste it. Okay, so now we've just done a paste. Okay, now remember what I told you about Paint is that this is a great tool to use for cropping. In other words, what we want to do here is we just want to save out this image content that we're going to be using elsewhere to do some edits with. Okay, so this is where the use of Paint comes in. We're going to do select, rectangular selection, and then we're going to select this image. Okay, I'm going to drag and drop, and actually select the content that I want to use elsewhere. So I go ahead and I selected with my mouse, and then I release the mouse. Okay, and then I'm going to click on the crop button. Okay, so see what happened. We cropped out what we wanted to save or have for our modified image. Now we're going to go over and we're going to do save as. Okay, to actually save it. Okay, so we're going to do PNG picture. Okay, and we're going to go right over here. I'm just going to randomly select a drive that I've got attached here. And we're going to do test image. Okay, .png, and we're going to go ahead and save it. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and exit out of that. Okay, so now the next step is this is where this mix and match methodology comes into play. So now we're going to go over to in Paint, because remember what we want to do here is we want to get rid of that gal's image, whom we both don't know, and we want to replace it with something else. We want to erase her, and we want to do something else with it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to open that file that I just saved. Okay, let's see. So we had test image. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to open that. Okay, so now, again, this is an editor type of application. That's why you see the format that you see here. All right, and so what you want to do whenever you're using InPaint, at least using it for the purposes that we are here today, is that you want to use what's called this particular tool here is called marker, and then secondarily you want to use the erase tool. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to select mark, and then like I say, what we're going to do is we're going to erase this gal's presence in the image. And what I want to do is have it in Paint, in this case, this dark blue or respective black background color. We want to replace her image with and just have it as the background. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on marking her presence in the image. Okay, so I'm just going around. I've got the left mouse button pressed, and I'm going around and I'm circumscribing her photo in the image. Okay. Just going around with the mouse and I'm highlighting things. Okay. Now, as it gets down here where got the text, and we don't want to be monkeying around with that. This is where the challenge kind of comes with the control of your mouse and actually marking. Okay, so I've done a basic kind of outline of this gal's image in the photo into the target or source image. Okay, so now we can click on erase, and then this is where the in painting magic happens. Okay, so now what it did is it has done one layer of the mark and then erase. So let's go ahead now and let's do this again. Remember, this is a live demo, so things may not necessarily work always the way that it is planned, but we'll kind of take things as we're going and work with it from there. Okay, because that's what we have to do whenever we're doing these projects for real, is we have to work with what we've got. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to erase again. Okay. This is what we have to do with this application, is do repetitive mark and then erase to get it to work the way that we want. See how it is removing that in the forefront, which is that gal's image. We are removing that and then replacing it with the background, which is this dark blue or teal color. Okay, that's what it is that we want to be taking care of. Okay. Okay, so let's go back over before we erase some more, and let's take a look. Okay, so grow your online business. Because again, what we want to do is we want to keep everything in this image, in theory, okay, except for removing of this gal. Okay, grow your online business. Okay, all right, so let's go ahead and do some more marking here. See what else we can do with this. You have to be very careful about what you're marking, and then ultimately what you want to get rid of. Business. Okay. Is being very stubborn. We may end up having to do this a different way. Okay, we will see. In theory, it's getting better. Okay, erase. Online business. Okay, so erase. Online business, to grow your online business. That's interesting. It has inserted that that and symbol. Oh, I know why, because there's an and symbol up here. Anyway, that's where that is coming from. So let's go ahead and let's mark here another time. See what happens. Erase. This is why you have to keep going over this again and again to try and get it the way that you want it. Okay, now that's looking pretty good. isn't it? Okay, so now let's go ahead now and let's try and clearing this residual slightly different color scheme that's in this area and this other. Now, probably what we want to do, just to be on the safe side, is do a save of this. We're going to do print screen again, and we're going to go back over to Paint Classic and do a paste, because we may end up having to go with this image for the next level of edits. Okay, but we will see. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this one more time. Let's see, so let's go ahead and do that and this. Again, have to be very, very careful with the mouse. Okay, and then erase. Oh, this is something that happens. Sometimes it ends up mucking things up more. And then erase. Okay. Erase. Okay, so that does look better. It does look better, I'd say. This is a repetitive process. Okay, I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay, all right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go back over. Okay, so as I said, you likely you can't. You definitely can't download this new image. So let's go ahead and do print screen. Okay, and then we're going to go over to Paint. We're going to, oh, let's see, actually, let's go ahead and exit out of that. And then we're going to, okay, so we don't want to say that. And then what we want to do is we want to paste our last one that we did. Okay. And if we do a little bit more editing with this, it'll look real good. Okay. Now, the other thing, let's see, so we don't want to, let's do full screen. This shows more of the image. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's see here. So we want to do, let's see, we want to do select. And let's see. Can't do it that way. Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to do select. We're going to go ahead and we're going to select this image. Okay, and then we're going to crop it. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to save this. Save this again as a PNG. We're going to go ahead and test, and we're going to save it as a different file. Test image 2. Okay. Right. Okay. Okay. And so from here, then let's go over to Snappa and do our final edit. Okay. Now I'm logged into my free account right now in Snappa. Let me just review with you quickly about how great and how functionally wide this free tool is. This is the view once that you log into your account that you automatically see, where you can create a graphic. There's two main areas, create a graphic or save graphics. And so you can either create something that is a specific width and height. You can't do that with very many programs. What happens if you enter in a specific width and height and hit create, then you've got a default blank canvas that you're starting from, which can be very, very helpful if you want to do something real custom. Okay. And then the other thing is that you can select from one of their templates, like for a specific type of social media post, like a YouTube thumbnail, for instance, or something on Facebook, etc. Okay, and various types of other templates, including various headers, like a LinkedIn page, or LinkedIn background, or Facebook cover photo. Notice how for all these different templates that they've got the width and height included with their descriptor for that template. So that's all really great stuff, and it's very readily used. Okay. And then the other tab that's available in this tool are your saved graphics. Now, this is something that, as far as I know, even in a free plan, that you can save as many. You can save over here in your saved graphics part of your platform account as many as you need to. But there is, like so many of these free tools, limits on what you can download, your capacity for downloads. Again, we know how we're going to be reviewing as far as how to modify that. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new graphic. All right, and we're going to specify, let's see, let's go back over here, and 400 by 590. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a 400 by 590. Okay, size custom. Okay, now this is going to create a blank canvas like I showed you before. You can go ahead and you can name your project up here, and you can also change, if you need to, via the resize button, what it is that you've defined for your sizing. Okay, so let's go ahead over here with graphics. And let's go ahead and we can do an upload. Let's go ahead and upload what we had created before, what we had saved during our last edits over here. Okay. So if I recall, it was test image number 2. Okay. This is the one now that we want to edit more. Okay. You can upload as many of your own files as you want. Okay. So you do an upload, and then with your left mouse click, you go ahead and you click on that, and now you can go ahead and you can resize it the way that you need to. Okay, and this is going to serve in our case as the background. Okay. Okay, secure your free spot. Let's go ahead and that's not what I wanted. Here down to, it at 100. Okay, there. Okay. So, okay. And so now what we can do, so remember what we wanted to ultimately do here was add in my image instead. Okay. And let's see here. So let's go ahead and add me in here. Okay. We can resize the way that we need to in this application, which is so nice. Okay. Okay. You can do that just like that. Now, what you can, so this is just kind of just a general sample about the types of things that you can do. So let's go ahead. Just like that. Okay. All right. So that looks, I mean, sure, it's not perfect, but for a demo, this is going to be a showcase as far as the types of things that you can do with this set of free tools. So now, again, to get over that limitation as far as the saving and the download, so we're going to do the print screen button. We're going to select that full window screen. We're going to go over to the classic paint, and we're going to do a paste, and then we're going to crop it, like what we're getting lots of practice with. Cropping. Okay, so rectangular selection. Okay, and then we very carefully trace that out. Okay, and then we click on crop, and then we can go ahead and we can save this as our for demo purposes final.png file. So that's the way that all of this works as far as that iterative back and forth process, and also mix and match. Okay, the other demo that I wanted to talk about a little bit about is just a little bit more within Snappa as far as the types of things that you can do in there. Okay. Okay, so let's go back to the menu. Okay, and let's go over to Save Graphics. Okay, now this is demo number 2. Okay, and what I want to talk about, so let's just say that we want to do edits to this particular image. Okay, it's just a real simple one. Okay, and so what's so great about this tool, again, now we're in the editor of Snappa, okay, is that you can not only add your own uploads, it comes with a bunch of various icons. You can upload, like I say, what we've already demoed here as far as uploading of your own images. So you can just go ahead and click, and then let those edits. You can go ahead and you can add these kind of things to your image. Okay, you can position stuff the way that you want to, get things centered. And then you can also add text. You can add headings. You can add subheadings, or just some body text. And you can add different backgrounds. Okay, including just a general, which is what I've got here for the background, just a general color. Okay, and so it's very, very flexible. And with this tool, as I said, even with the free account, you can edit the project name, and then you can go ahead and you can save it. And then the other thing within Snappa that I wanted to touch on is this idea about being able to resize your image without having to worry about things becoming pixelated, or that the image doesn't look right by the time that it's resized. That is part of what I've personally seen with resizing tools online, and there are lots of free ones available, is that ultimately they will pixelate your image, especially if you are making the image bigger versus reducing it. And in this tool, I've been able to get past that problem and be able to do what I need to with reducing or enlarging the image. So that's all real good. Okay, and so as you can see, we are resizing the image here, and so what you can do, again, if you wanted to use this asset someplace, if for a destination marketing piece, for example, you click on the print screen button, and then we can go over to classic paint. We can go ahead and do new, and we go ahead and paste that in there, and then we can go ahead and we can select again and save that as your PNG. Then you can use that final asset wherever you need to. And so with that, let's go ahead and start wrapping up this particular episode of the Path Forged with Tech podcast, episode number 20 of this series. And I hope that I have provided some different ways maybe of you thinking about your use of Canva. Not that Canva is a bad tool. I'm certainly not saying that at all. It's a very good quality tool. But it's, as I've pointed out with the negatives that I have found, I decided to keep for the idea of keeping expenses down in general, I decided to find a set of quality, easy to use, fast to use, and very functional for my business uses set of tools. And that's what it is that I wanted to show all of you today. I hope that I have provided good quality content that way, and that you have found it educational and inspirational yourself. And you'll go ahead and check out a lot of these tools for your own use. Please reply, add comments to this video about the types of tools that you use for image capture, image editing, whether you use Canva or not. I would love to hear what you out there, the audience, use for finding images, for editing, and then ultimately saving them out as usable assets for your marketing or other types of business uses. So with that, we will be closing out episode number 20 of the Path Forwards with Tech podcast. And I'll be back in 2 weeks to shoot another episode, providing more quality education, different ways of utilizing technologies in unique ways to save you money, provide you with more creativity and fun in running your online business. That's the whole idea of this podcast. So until next time, I wish you all well and make it a great day or a great evening. Take care.